Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently 5:04 p.m. in the Midwest. I'm glad to have everybody here. Unfortunately, we do not have everybody at the moment, mostly because my computer kind of got a little bit screwed up this week. I don't think I've mentioned this before on stream, but I have been uh, automating my house, lights, outlets. We got a new TV this week. Trying to do everything voice command and some location automations in which things automatically turn off, automatically turn on. You know, we are doing anything and everything we can to cut power usage, and one of the things that uses the most power in the house are the three computers in the house. We've got my computer, Coda's computer, and my local network access storage computer, which runs 24/7. All of the machines run 24/7. So one of the things that I wanted to do was connect at least connect my computer to a smart outlet and have the computer be able to power on by itself when it received power at all. And then, the outlet could turn off and turn back on and just do its thing. But in epic proportion, I kind of screwed up the computer, and in my attempt to change the BIOS to allow power on when receiving power, I bricked the computer. Now, this wasn't a huge deal. I was able to correct the issue by simply resetting the BIOS on the computer, but it took me a while to figure out how to do that. And unfortunately, I opened up the computer when I could have just hit a button at the front of it. So that was an interesting morning. Anyways, today our topic is pretty much solely around the Steven Crowder debacle. We got some new news centered around Jared, aka Jared Monroe, aka Not Gay Jared. And we are going to be talking about all of that today, and my skepticism about everything surrounding this whole debacle. Joining us right now, or at least joining me right now, we have our lovely host from the Soviet state of Kanukistan, our dirty Frenchy Frenchman, Dale. Please say hello, Dale.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everyone. Can't know when you're watching this, but I'm happy you are. As usual, I am coming to you live from the icy wastes of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Welcome to the show.
How is the weather up there right now?
It's too hot. It's like 8 degrees Celsius. It needs to be at least 10 degrees cooler. I mean, it's just getting too warm. I think that's something like, I don't know, 40 degrees foreign heat. But I don't know off the top of my head.
Foreign
Needs to be
heat.
colder. Yes, foreign heat.
Foreign heat.
Yes.
I've never heard that.
It's a good one. I have to credit my brother for that one. I didn't come up with it. He did. So shout out to him. It's a great line.
Okay, so to lead off, we are going to get into the thing that started all of this, the video
All right.
that
So
that kicked everything off.
so I think before we jump into that, we can just quickly give a summary of what exactly went down with Steven Crowder that kicked everything off. For those who might not know, for those who might not be following the drama or the Twitter drama or the YouTube
Okay,
drama.
so around summertime last year, there was a video released, and I think it was from around 2022.
Yes.
It's Ring camera footage, quote unquote Ring camera footage, and I'll explain why I put that in quotation marks. But we received Ring camera footage. Supposedly, Hilary leaked the footage to a journalist, and that journalist put it out. The video footage basically shows Steven being incredibly abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And he did come out and he spoke about it. I was not able to find that stream that he did. But needless to say, he's been trying to avoid the claims of abuse ever since that video came out.
Just to clarify for people who haven't seen the video, this was emotional/mental abuse. He wasn't actually beating anyone. He wasn't beating his wife. He was just emotionally abusing her, which
Yes.
isn't much better, but just to clarify. And his wife was pregnant at the time of this video.
With twins.
Yes.
With twins. Okay, give me a second. I will pull up the video and we will get this kicked off.
All right.
I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just.
No, so she was 8 months. She wasn't just pregnant with twins. She was 8 months pregnant with twins, which my understanding is you're probably at your most vulnerable when you're pregnant. Is that 8 months?
Yeah.
With twins.
One second.
All right. And no, for the record, this isn't an advertisement for Ring doorbells. They're not paying us for this. But they should. I would welcome it. I would welcome the Ring money.
Okay, apologies for the delay.
No
So,
worries.
yes, Hilary was 8 months pregnant at this point, and you can definitely see she is definitely showing.
Yes.
And, okay, so it wasn't 2022. This was June 26th of 2021.
Oh.
I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car.
Should the audio be playing?
To do wifely things.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries.
Give me a second here. See if I can correct this. I believe it's
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first?
Can you hear it now?
No. I noticed you upped the volume. It looks more like it's on mute or something. It doesn't. It seems more of a mute issue.
It is not on mute. I just need to remove the input.
Ah, fair enough.
The downside, the downside of all of this is I have to have this playing. Because the audience can hear this, but you can't.
I drew a boundary.
Oh, alright. So long as they can hear it, I can read the text.
I drew a boundary of abuse.
No worries.
You were not taking the car.
Okay.
Because
now you should be able to hear it.
To do
Yes, I can hear it.
Then I will go pick up the groceries.
Okay, we'll start again from the
But I
beginning.
drew a boundary.
All right. Oh, Molly has just joined.
Hey, Molly.
Welcome,
Okay,
Molly.
so this is the ring camera footage. It's from June 26th of 2021. And I would suppose that's probably Hopper.
Yes. Rip Hopper.
Okay.
I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
If you refuse to do wifely things, and I will go pick up the groceries. Listen. Anyone who has ever gone through a pregnancy, be them male or female, understands that the person that's pregnant at 8 months can't really do jack squat.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they can't do jack squat. Attempting to do anything at 8 months of pregnancy is very hard on the body. You basically have this living thing spinning around over and over again, kicking you, pushing against your bladder, absorbing all of the food that you eat into itself. I mean, and not to mention, this is a woman who's pregnant with twins. So the effect is double.
Yeah.
Wifely things. What are wifely things, Stephen? Well, he gives us wifely things later on in the video.
Just go do wife stuff.
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hilary, how do you respect the man? Yes, how do you man? How do you man?
How do you respect the men? How do you
Fuck.
do men just inherently deserve respect?
No.
No. I don't think anyone
No one
inherently deserves respect. I think respect is earned. Now, I will show you respect just as a preset. But if I feel you don't deserve my respect after a while, you will not get my respect.
All right. And I think that there's also a difference. Well, the word respect is kind of used two ways here, right? That there's treating people like generally treating people with respect, and there's actually respecting the person, right? Treating people with respect generally just means you're polite, you're not rude, you're
don't be a dick.
It just generally don't be a dick. Whereas actually respecting someone is a different thing. That needs to be earned by the person. Whereas quote unquote treating people with respect is just don't be a dick. That is true more generally for people unless they deserve it. That is also earned. That can also be unearned. And there are definitely times when it is appropriate to treat someone to act like a dick to someone.
Mind you, Stephen comes from a very Christian background, and one of the famous quotes of Jesus Christ is, "Do unto others that which you would wish them to do unto you."
Correct. And also, just a fun fact, as talking about his background, he also unfortunately comes from Montreal as well as me. His background, he is also a fucking dirty Frenchman.
Yes, he's Canadian born and raised.
Terrible.
Actually, I think he moved in his early teens to the U.S.
Yeah.
But I do know that his early career was as the rabbit in
Yeah,
Arthur.
in Arthur. Yes.
I can't remember the name, but Steven is not all that much older than me. So I actually remember when he voiced the rabbit in Arthur.
I remember Arthur too. It was a good show. It was a good kid show. Stephen peaked at Arthur, to be honest.
Uh,
Or Stefan.
you know what else was a
Call
good
him
show?
Stefan. Alright.
Wishbone.
I don't think I ever saw that. Was that an
Oh,
animated one or was that live
no,
action?
it was live action.
Hmm.
Think Reading Rainbow, but without the story being read to you, and instead being turned into live action with the dog named Wishbone being the main character
Hmm.
in like all of the stories.
Interesting.
I remember they did the Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and
Oh.
they also did Don Quixote.
Oh, they did Don Quixote for kids.
Yep,
Interesting. Interesting choice.
it was a very fun show.
Was the
There,
dog also chasing after windmills?
yes, he did in fact tilt against a windmill.
Nice.
And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm not going to explain what tilting is. Okay, so the other man you see, the mother. Okay, let's rewind a little bit. Hold on.
Just because Molly got in kind of a bit as you were playing through the video, would you mind just starting the video from start, just so Molly can see
Yeah,
everything?
I can start it again from the beginning.
Excellent.
So we've got Hopper, we've got Hilary, we've got Steven, and the young Pit that they bought. I believe they bought him or her.
Because I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries. Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first?
Okay, so he's complaining that she wants to leave. She wants to take the car. But he doesn't want her to leave because she hasn't done wifely things. And because she hasn't done wifely things, then instead of her going, he's going to punish her and he will instead go get the groceries. That's what he's saying here.
So, one thing that I am having a bit of trouble understanding, and again, I'm not saying he's not an emotionally abusive asshole. His idea of a punishment is I'll do the chores instead of you. Like, what is he like? What's he trying to do here?
Well, obviously, it's not that he wants groceries per se. He wants things for himself. Did you hear what he prioritized on that list of groceries?
Oh yeah,
Steaks, wood pellets.
Right.
Let's go back. Steaks, wood pellets, my grill.
I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it.
Is he trying to like shame her into like, oh, woe is me, I'll do it, so you don't have to get her to do it or something?
No, he's this wholly appears that he's upset that she hasn't done something around the house and she's trying to leave. And he is trying to keep her from leaving and take away any excuse that she has to get out of the house. Now, for anyone that hasn't been in an abusive relationship in which they control your movement, um, disengaging and leaving is a very hard ask because they are going to they make it so that you can't leave. They're going to disconnect you from the world. And so what he's trying to do is he's trying to make it so that she can't leave. He's saying, I'll go do the groceries, you have to stay home because you haven't done your wifely duties.
But you're just, and this is as someone who thankfully has never been in one of those situations. Isn't the purpose of leaving to put distance between you and the abuser? So wouldn't him leaving instead of her also fulfill, like,
No,
how is
see, so the way this works is the abuse isn't just tied to the abuser. The abuse is tied to the environment. Being in the environment that your abuser has created is just as traumatizing as the abuser.
interesting? So in that sense, just leaving the environment is in itself a what would be the term? I guess
A
it's
bit of
an escape.
respite.
Yeah, a reprieve.
A reprieve, yes.
I mean, Dale,
Yep.
you know that like I had the exact same problem and the exact same solution. So this is kind of like something very similar to me.
I assume you as Hilary in the situation, not as Stephen. You mean?
Yeah, Hilary, and my mom was
Mm.
Steven.
All right, true. Yeah, you as Hilary.
And
Yeah.
let's make this very clear. There is no one sex that actually performs this type of abuse more than the other. This is an equal footing sort of abuse.
Mhm.
I experienced it from my first and my second wife. Both of them standing in the way of me from getting out of the abusive environment. And I stuck around for far too long in both cases.
All right.
Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes. How do you man respect? How do you man receive love from that?
Okay, that's a dig. That is a major dig. At 8 months of pregnancy, you don't have someone else on the mind. All you have on the mind is getting through the rest of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
So this is definitely not one of those, oh well, she's seeing another person. She's not. It is extremely rare that any woman at 8 months of pregnancy is going to be going around and fucking around.
Right.
No. How do you man? No, you're not taking the car.
Stephen,
You're not taking the car.
Stephen,
You are
Not
not
and I
taking
will
the
ask
car.
him to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not a threat.
Is there a threat for her to ask someone to pick her up? Really, a threat?
So this gives you the mindset that Steven is in. He is in the mindset of, oh, well, if she's not doing what I say, then she's being abusive, and anything that she says that is contradictory to what I say is a threat.
Yeah.
I'm not allowing you to take the car. Okay, fine. I'll get someone to come pick me up. Who would you like me to to call to pick me up? That's not an unreasonable question.
Yeah. Yeah. Assuming assuming for a second that his intentions were pure, which they're not. Maybe he wanted the car for some reason. So she's asking reasonable the question of whose other car can come pick me up. At which point he immediately goes to, oh, is that a threat?
Given the situation, we already know Hilary was cut off from pretty much everyone.
Mm.
Which means the only people that she interacts with are Steven and his employees.
Mm-hmm.
Which means her question was pointed at, who of your employees would you like me to call to come pick me up? It's not a question of, oh, well, choose from my friends to come pick me up. No, it's choose from your staff to come pick me up. And at that point, the question is, who from his staff has also left recently? Since this video was recorded.
Right. That is a good question to get into that I assume we shall get into a bit later down the road.
Well, I don't know who's I don't know who else has left, but I would presume that anyone that has left would be seen as a threat by Steven.
Right. I know there are at least 2 people at that time who had left. And a third person who I'm not sure had left yet, but did leave at least later after.
Do go ahead and name them. I know Jared Monroe had already left.
There's Jared, not gay Jared. As you said, Jared Monroe. Another guy, I don't know his full name. He went by Sven. On the show, he was Sven Computer. He was a Swedish guy.
Sven. Yeah, he was here on a work visa.
Right. And then there's also another comedian named Dave Landau. Dave Landau has also gone on record and shit on Steven and the working experience there multiple times since then. Yeah, he's the guy. I'm not sure if I know Jared and Sven left at the same time. Dave left later, and I'm not sure if this is before or after this video was taken. Dave also wasn't under NDA, or the same NDA, so he actually has, as I said, ripped Steven multiple times for this. And welcome, Stoner.
Hey, Stoner.
Whew, hi, just got back home.
Okay, well, catch your breath. Take a listen.
Yeah.
Okay, so not gay Jared, Sven
Computer, and
Dave Landau. Okay, let's go ahead and continue.
Steven.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Steven, I can't.
Feeling some constraints?
Steven.
Like, I can't
Steven.
go. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hilary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
Okay, and now he's turned the abuse to himself.
Yeah, like, you can't leave. Look how boxed in I am.
Yeah,
I forbid you from leaving. You're boxing me in.
He's doing exactly what abusers do. He's making it about himself. He's projecting his abuse onto Hilary and saying she's the one doing it to him. This is classic narcissism.
Yes.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either. Do you understand the difference between my life being set to the second and you going, I'll be back when I'm back?
Steven,
And making it work when you do that. The only way out of this is discipline and respect.
The only way out of this is discipline and respect. Go fuck yourself. You don't get respect. You have at this point disrespected your pregnant wife.
8-month pregnant wife, specifically.
With your twins. I would also like to mention, this is a huge fucking house in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, most houses that have a pool, it's right behind the door.
I did not
But
know
he's
that.
got a pool, and he's got a hot tub, he's got a fence line, he's got a backyard. So
Yep.
this, he definitely has money, and you know, he's not living in a shall we say modest manner.
Not at all.
And we'll get into that once I bring up Pearl. But
Oh, all right.
but people like Steven like to preach modesty and then
From their
put on
mansions.
and then, you know, put on a show.
Yeah.
The only way out of it, we're at an impasse.
we are at an impasse.
Good. Because you can't have any discipline or respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so he just made discipline and respect mutually exclusive with being at an impasse. These two things are not mutually exclusive. Discipline and respect does not... Lacking discipline and respect does not mean that you're at an impasse. Disagreement means you're at an impasse when no one's going to give. And rightfully, Hilary shouldn't give.
You throw your hand, you give up so easily.
I don't give up, Steven.
Hilary,
Steven?
you give up so easily. I just said the only way out of this is discipline and respect. You said, then we're at an impasse.
Steven, no, we are.
Okay, so at 1 minute and 43 seconds, he said, you give up so easily. Really? She's given up so easily? She is 8 fucking months pregnant with your kids, your twins. How is that giving up easily? This woman is at a point in her life where you have been abusing her. You have been just absolutely nasty, especially in this video. This is not her throwing in the hat easily. This is her coming to terms with, or her trying to come to terms with the life that she is living right now. She wants space, which is reasonable. It's more than reasonable.
We're at an impasse, okay? I love you, but Steven, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it. Fucking watch it.
I'm gonna let go. I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need.
Watch it. Watch it. Fucking watch it. No, I'm not gonna fucking watch it, asshole.
You just fucking baby for a little bit, okay? I love you. I love you very much.
Okay, here's where Steven thinks that love is on his terms. This shows you the narcissism very blatantly.
Yeah.
I don't love you. That's the big problem. I've never received love from you. And the fact is, when I go, look, I need
I've never received love from you. I don't love you because I've never received love from you.
That's that's an awfully interesting thing to say to your wife, who is currently 8 months
Pregnant
pregnant
with your
twins.
twins. Yeah. So this entire thing is something that people with full-blown narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic abuse disorder, this is that sort of mindset where everything revolves around me, and if I don't feel it, then you aren't doing it. I don't think we've ever really talked about love languages on this channel.
Nope.
But everyone expresses love in different ways.
Right.
But it all revolves around the idea that I want to feel appreciated. This is how I know I'm loved, is I feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
The proper way in communicating with your spouse what makes you feel loved is by doing just that, communicating what makes you feel loved. In this, he's basically saying, I feel loved when you do acts of service for me. But he's never said that.
Mm-hmm.
He's never said what makes him feel loved.
Yeah, he's just said he doesn't feel. And
So
also sorry, go ahead.
In these sorts of situations, it's very much so like when your partner is upset that you didn't want to go to McDonald's. But they don't tell you that they're upset. They just expect you to understand and know that they're upset and why they're upset. They're expecting you to be a mind reader. And Stephen has traditionally expected everyone around him to be mind readers. This is a man that makes a living communicating to masses, but he can't communicate in his own marriage.
Mm-hmm.
you do A, B, C, and D. You just be disciplined about it. You go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No.
Okay, and then we get into how other people show you love. And this is where communication still comes in. If someone's love language is acts of service, and you personally have a way of showing love either by words of affirmation or, giving of gifts, it's a very hard thing to do to provide those acts of service in communicating love. And that's
Right.
again where the communication comes in. So my love language, both giving and receiving, is words of affirmation. I just need to know that I'm appreciated. And Coda does an amazing job at making me feel appreciated. Not a day goes by that I don't feel loved because she tells me that she loves me. And I do the same thing for her. When it comes to acts of service, the house can be as dirty as, a hobo. I don't care. Because I feel appreciated daily.
But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. That's not fair, and it's disingenuous. Hillary, you're right. We're at an impasse. Become someone, listen to me, day in and day out, worthy of a wife worthy. No, not of the.
Be a wife worthy of my love. Become
Mm.
a wife worthy of my love.
That's not generally. That's not generally something you should say to your wife, or to anyone you.
Or anyone,
Yeah.
like even friends, like
Yeah.
become the friends that I fucking need or something. Like what the
Or no,
fuck?
it wouldn't even be become the friends that I need. It'd be become the friends that are worthy to be my friend.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
What the fuck?
They'll
I
become the friend worthy of being my friend.
no, go to bed, Molly.
No, don't go to bed. Molly gets to stay.
Very well. Finish the podcast and then go to bed.
Yes, well, it'll be late as fuck. It'll be, one in the 1 in the morning by the time we're finished.
Yes.
Life. I didn't say it's a wife. Hillary, come on now.
I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage anymore. I'm gonna go. I'll get text me what you need. I'll get you what you need. I love you. I'm committed to you.
And watch very closely how he's about to turn this around.
Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm not. I'm not gonna.
Are you committed enough to do those things? You're not committed to anything. You're not committed to anything. You just said I love you. I'm committed to you. Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves.
I need to.
Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those?
Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. That shows me your commitment. Bitch, she is 8 fucking months pregnant. Do you know how hard a pit bull is going to pull?
Probably pretty hard.
Especially when they see a child.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, Molly. You know I have a pit bull. We are not doing that. We are not
Okay.
We are not casting dispersions on a species of canine.
We'll do that later.
No, we're not doing that at all.
Oh.
Now, of course, Hopper's not going to pull. He's far too old. And not too long after this, he was put down because he was just in too much pain. But the
Didn't he
young
have
pit bull,
cancer or something? Yeah.
they fought it for a long period of time. But the young pit bull is still young, still extremely strong, still, very excitable. It takes a lot to train a pit bull into being, not as excitable.
Mhm.
And pit bulls, just like any other dog, they are their demeanor depends on the demeanor of their owner. If you have a very nice and loving owner, the pit bull is very likely going to be very nice and loving. That's why Ruby will adopt herself out to just about anyone that's got a car door open. She doesn't have an angry bone in her body. Even when her and Nugget get into fights, she will only snap at him. She will make the threat, but she'll never carry it out.
Good to know.
Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm gonna just.
Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to get the medication the dogs take? No, you take that in.
Okay, so that was the video that sparked all of this.
Indeed, and he paints Crowder as well put it bluntly, a piece of shit.
Yes, it rightly marks him as a piece of shit. Okay.
Though one thing to note, I think I didn't really notice this the other times I've seen this video, but I noticed this time.
Mm-hmm.
He's, at least before he gets all abusive, he's talking to her like he talks to like people in his videos.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
he's not talking to her as if you would talk to a normal person, which makes me think. Which makes me think he is. Let's just say his videos are a very good representation of him as a person. It seems like he acts like that off camera as well as on camera.
Yes.
Well, maybe you know those method actors like believe they're a person, they're like method
Yeah.
acting. Maybe he convinced himself to like be the jackass that he is on video.
Well, and this is the problem that we often have with pretty much all childhood actors, whether they be voice actors or not, is they develop this sense of self-importance, this overdeveloped sense of self-importance, and so everything revolves around them at all times throughout pretty much the remainder of their life.
Especially if you're rich.
Yeah, especially if you're rich. Obviously, Steven's being on Arthur didn't make him rich, but it gave him an in. Hold on.
All right. It didn't make him rich, but it definitely gave him a chip on his shoulder.
I gave him the ego of a dickhead.
Indeed.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know if he has narcissistic personality disorder or if he has narcissistic abuse disorder, because they are practically the exact same thing. But one is genetic. You are just naturally a narcissist. One is trauma-based. The narcissistic abuse disorder is trauma-based. It comes from narcissistic abuse. And you develop those exact same traits as a way to shield yourself from narcissists. One of those blend in with your surrounding sort of things.
Just actually on that, something when someone develops narcissistic abuse disorder, like if it makes them act like a narcissist, what happens when you act like a narcissist to a narcissist? Like like, how does that interaction play out?
Things escalate. Things escalate quite a bit. I have a diagnosis for NAD, and it is an extremely difficult thing to overcome and to not act in a narcissistic way with people during daily interactions. But it's if you're diagnosed with it and you see it, you can work on it. It's something that you can overcome, but it's something you're going to fight with every day for the rest of your life. And generally there are two things that happen when you're faced, if you have NAD, if you're faced with your own narcissistic tendencies. One, you either become a full-blown narcissist, you just let it run rampant, or you get treatment for it, you work on it, you fix it, you fight it. It's very tiring, but those are the only two paths once you're confronted with your narcissism.
what does treatment like that look like? Is it just like cognitive behavioral therapy type thing, or you just
Um,
recognize the early like thoughts and then fight those, or is there something more specialized?
it's it's there is behavioral therapy involved, basically helping you identify and recognize when you are making everything about yourself.
Hmm.
So, say for instance, you go to a dinner and everyone's talking about, uh, the weather, and you just find some way to turn the weather into a subject about yourself. Everything has to be about you when it comes to narcissism. It's very, very much so related to sociopathy.
Right.
Okay, so that's what sparked everything that happened this week. Um, and what happened this week is not gay Jared. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Came out with a video
Mm-hmm.
with claims that he has been going through legal abuse from Crowder and Crowder's company. And it's up on the screen right now. And I will go ahead and play it. And we'll dissect bits and pieces.
Enough is enough. This can't go on any longer, and as the famous saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So, here we go. I'm currently being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. This has been going on for a while now, and it simply cannot live in darkness for another day. But I am asking for your help to fight back. First, some context. In late October of 2023, to my surprise, I was served these papers. A cease and desist from my former employer. It threatened severe legal action in the form of a lawsuit and demanded I cease communications with my friends. The scare tactics of cease and desist are generally to intimidate, isolate, and eventually devastate. Like most cease and desist, it also demanded that I swiftly provide them written certificate of my compliance.
Can you pause there for a moment?
Yes.
Thanks. So, what is the actual legal significance of a cease and desist? Is there any, or
A cease and desist provides what most courts would call notice or notice of intent.
Mhm.
In a lot of civil cases, you have to provide notice of intent to sue.
so you
And
can't just sue. You first have to tell them, "I'm going to sue if you don't stop doing whatever."
well, you don't have to. If it's a private party suing another private party, you generally don't have to. But a cease and desist goes a long way in showing the court that, hey, this is an act that we believe is damaging to us, and we asked this person to stop, and instead of stopping, they continued. So, when it comes to suing the government, a cease and desist can in fact act as an intent to sue, because the government is doing something wrong, and you feel it's damaging, so you say, hey, stop it or I'm going to sue you. And if they don't, then you file suit. In a case like this, it's very similar, but they don't have to provide it, that cease and desist, that request that you stop.
I didn't know you could send a cease and desist letter to the government as well.
Well, that's that's generally what the intent to sue form is a cease and desist. I'm going to sue you because you're doing this, this, and this.
Mhm. That makes sense.
I did not. In the same delivery, I was also served these papers. A Rule 202 petition from my former employer. You can look that up on the internet. I know I had to. These documents were filed with the county court of my former place of employment, saying that I'd be subject to an oral deposition under oath for an unlimited amount of time, where they were free to interrogate me on pretty much any private matter that they chose. Also, in this petition for discovery, they demanded that I turn over documents of all communications with more than a dozen of my friends, an unlimited amount of unnamed persons in any form, and over an unlimited period of time. I did not. Now, I did not for a few reasons. Number one, I have seen how this employer handles legal issues, and I knew that once I opened the door to legal abuse, it would never, ever be shut. This is how they operate. In fact, I'm not the only one who's a current victim. My former employer is exploiting the legal system to abuse others right now, all in the darkness, fully knowing that the fear and risks it takes to speak up. This kind of harassment at the hands of the powerful isn't just designed to financially ruin somebody, it's designed to cripple their soul. Now, I wasn't about to put my family on a...
Okay, I'm going to summarize this because I want to get to the Crowder response that did not come from Stephen himself, but from one of his co-hosts.
Yep.
I'm going to...
The absolute pussy that he is. He doesn't even have the balls to respond to this himself.
Yeah.
He has an employee respond on his behalf.
Yeah, so basically the way this works is Jared left and he claims he left because of things he saw within the company that he didn't like. Now, I have to assume, based on the things that he's said and the video that I've seen, that Ring video footage, that Crowder has built a cult of personality.
Yes.
We've talked about cults before in this on this channel, very specifically about Jehovah's Witnesses and the sort of psychological manipulation that it takes to be in a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Cults themselves do not have to be organized. Cults can simply just be an unorganized group. The two main tools of a cult are insulation and isolation. And in that, insulation makes it so that if you're part of the in-group will protect you from the out-group.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, the first stage of isolation. You are isolated and insulated from the outside. You are exposed only to the thoughts and ideas of the in-group. You are then taught that anyone that is not in the in-group is your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't interact with anyone in the out-group. But, like all cults, someone inside the in-group generally sees something they don't like at some point. In this case, Jared was part of this cult of personality, and he saw something he didn't like, and he knew he couldn't change it. So he wanted to leave. And upon giving his reasons of leaving, Stephen brought him in, put him on the phone with the company lawyer, and they started bullying him into signing an NDA paired with a non-compete that were very restrictive. So restrictive that I would say that they would not stand up in a court of law. We're about to see, given the response that the Louder with Crowder cast gave on Wednesday.
Yeah, and also it's worth noting it's not just Jared who said this. I mentioned about this cult of personality being built up. It's Jared has come out and said this. Sven has come out and said this.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Landau has said this. Owen Benjamin has said this. I'm not sure if you've seen this video, but do you know how Sven and Jared left? They didn't just quit. At least according to Owen Benjamin, who it seems Jared retweeted when Owen explained this. So at least it seems that Jared is backing that up. But did you see any of the videos of Owen explaining how they left?
No, I did not, and that will be a good thing to get into next week. Can you summarize it for us?
Basically, without any notice, they were using their own equipment, their own computers, everything. They just took all their shit and left without one word. Like one day they and their equipment was there. The next day it was just gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which would be reasonable if they weren't under contract, and I don't believe that either of them were at that point.
Right.
I mean, Texas is an at-will employment state, and you don't generally have to give notice outside of being a contract employee.
Right. Which actually does play into the fact that I think Jared said in the video Steven was suing him trying to take his equipment from him.
No, Jared had a lot of other equipment, camera equipment that he bought with his own money and was able to prove that it was his, that he owned it. And the Louder with Crowder company still has possession of it.
Oh.
But I'll continue. So insulation and isolation, first level, and Jared saw something he didn't like, and as what happens with most cults, when you see something you don't like, and you're part of the in-group, one of two things happens. Either you continue along with the cognitive dissonance, knowing that there's something that just isn't right, but you're going to live with it, or you correct your cognitive dissonance and you speak out. If you do this in a cult, you are going to be kicked out. 1 second.
All right. Yeah, don't join cults, ladies and gentlemen. It's not worth it.
Okay, so he... hold on. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so he went ahead and he spoke out against it, and it caused a rift. And he decided to leave because he realized that this environment was not only toxic for him, but it was toxic for the family he was starting. And that's basically where all of the legal bullshit started. That's where the non-compete, the non-disclosure, that's where that all started. And he made this claim that they bullied him into signing both of these contracts, or this non-compete that this non-disclosure agreement that included a non-compete. That's where that's basically the entire story from Jared. Jared is not going to comply with that contract anymore. He feels that it is abusive, and honestly, the way he described it, I don't think it's going to hold up in a court of law.
That's good.
So I'm going to go ahead and take it back to the Louder with Crowder response. Let's see. 1 minute and 17 seconds. Oh, crap. Hold on. I don't want to get copyright struck because of the music that they always friggin' play.
Fuck.
Fair enough.
Okay, so this is the start of the video, and we will be cutting in and out for copyright reasons.
Good morning. I had been scheduled to host the show today for about a week, and the topics that we were going to discuss were what you would expect in any Louder with Crowder show. Talking about some news, make some jokes, maybe poorly, but unfortunately, that's no longer the case today. Well before any video that was released, we were going to do this show this way. I'll get to why Steven's not here in just a minute, but it was planned from a week ago, not from yesterday. I just want to say off the top that none of this had to happen.
Okay, so you're going to hear some very specific things, but keep in mind this was planned a week ago from this past Wednesday. So the Wednesday prior, this show was planned
Allegedly.
before any video came out. This is damning, given the allegations.
Why
None of
is
it.
that? That seems more like they're...
It's damning. It's damning given the rest of the video. We're gonna get into it, but I have to point it out at specific points.
All right, fair enough.
Also notice Walther PPK on the desk.
Of course.
Beast.
Didn't have to be this way at all. We didn't choose this. It was chosen for us.
Okay. Therein is the first point in which I have to say it's fucking hilarious that they say this. We didn't choose this, it was chosen for us. No, motherfucker, you guys are the ones that issued the cease and desist. It was not chosen for you. You laid out a very clear path. There is only one path if someone sees abuse and you basically say, stop talking about it. The only path is the path that you've set out before them, which is speaking out against the abuse.
Right.
It was not chosen by someone else. It was chosen by you. Oh, what the heck is going on here? Okay.
In fact, as I'll tell you in just a few minutes, we went to great lengths to give people the ability to do the right thing, to honor their agreements, and to do what they said they were going to do.
Yes, but those agreements were made under duress.
Unfortunately, they chose a different path. For the last year and a half, everything you've seen in the public eye has been part of a well-orchestrated plan. What is that plan? To assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Stephen. I'll show you the quotes. I'll show you the text messages. I'll show you everything.
And what I find hilarious about them saying this is they take everything out of context.
All of the stuff that we did not talk about because we were giving people the opportunity to do the right thing. Taking the hits, taking the hit pieces, dealing with all of it to give people the opportunity to do the right thing. They chose not to. I wonder...
Oh, wait, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to the media and, you know, basically smear campaigns, if it's not true, you don't sit and wait.
Right.
Legally, in a court of law, you do not sit and wait, which supposedly they've done for a year and a half. Which means that it wasn't actually serious. It wasn't actually wrong. That there may have, in fact, been validity to these claims that have been made against LwC and Steven Crowder himself. At least that's how a court of law is going, or should technically see it.
Why Jared decided to release his video yesterday. Just for some backstory, there had been no communication between our attorneys for a couple of weeks, so there was no impetus for it. The document compelling him to give a deposition had already expired on March 15th. So when he released his video yesterday, he asked you to contribute money for a lawsuit that did not exist. Unless he's had a lawsuit that
did not exist that you had already threatened was going to come. If he basically the cease and desist and the request for deposition, if you're requesting a deposition, there's a lawsuit in the works. You already know it. So it's not just one of those, oh, well, if you give a deposition, we're not going to sue you. That's not how that works. It means that there's already a case on file. You just haven't filed an affidavit suing them. You've just made motions in a court thus far.
that he would like to file, which he indicated maybe that was the case. We had not sued Jared. We simply asked Jared to knock it off. I'll get into the timeline of that. But Tuesday, March 26th, was the day that he chose to release his video. I wonder if it had anything to do with Wednesday, March 27th being the 5th day of mediation between Stephen and Hilary. Why release it the day before mediation? Mediation is a great opportunity for people to come together and resolve their differences peacefully. This is the 5th day. If you want to do some research on how many days it normally goes on during divorces, you can. It's not 5. Here's the timeline. On October 27th, 2023, we filed our original Rule 202 petition that Jared mentioned. Rule 202 petition is basically saying, hey, we're serious. Please knock it off and tell us how far this went.
Okay, so basically they're saying that this has been going on since October of 2023. Saying that Jared is doing something that is damaging the company.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen shit from Jared.
Nope.
And in fact, I've followed him since before he left Crowder.
Oh.
Both on my old Twitter account and my new Twitter account. I didn't see shit. At least nothing relating to the Crowder incident.
Nope.
So obviously this would, especially given the request for deposition and request for documents surrounding his personal communications, presumably this is about personal communications that he has where he's shit talking the company, and that's generally not going to be covered in a non-disclosure agreement.
Mhm.
Because personal communications are fucking personal communications. They don't come into the view of public light.
Mhm.
October 30th, we sent a cease and desist. At that time, October 30th, 2023, all Jared had to do was respond in writing saying that he was going to knock off what he was doing. He was going to stop violating his agreement that he voluntarily entered into.
Take note.
Under duress.
Voluntarily entered into. It's very obvious that this is scripted, and scripted in a way to try to spin the story. But Jared was very clear in his video. Yes, he signed the agreement, but he did it under duress.
Yes.
He chose not to. Legal fees associated with writing us a letter would have been minimal, if any at all. And I have the receipts as to why we sent this to him in the first place, after around 6 years of no communication in this way. December 14th, we had one amendment to our Rule 202 petition, not quite the exhausting of the court as Jared made it seem, that we were trying to bully him with the law.
No, it wasn't 2023 that the legal abuse started. It was 2018 that the legal abuse started with the non-disclosure agreement.
Yep.
March 15th, that 202 expired. March 26th, Jared releases his video. Jared, like I said, was raising money for a lawsuit that didn't even exist.
But he knew it was coming.
Until this morning. It now exists. Because Jared has shown that he will continue to violate his NDA.
Which I believe would be found as unlawful.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've got to wait for all of the court documents to come out, and since this is civil court, and it includes two private parties, it may not be easy to obtain the documents.
To be a part of this scheme to assimilate damaging PR assets to put pressure on Stephen in the divorce. I'll show you all the receipts, guys. It's there. He's actively flirted with violations in the past, and now he's involving himself in a private divorce for which he was recruited to leverage the company as part of this long-standing plan. And I'm going to say it over and over again to make sure you guys understand. We've been living with this for the last year and a half. The plan is to assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Stephen. per Hilary's father. Here come the receipts.
Okay, before we get into the quote unquote receipts that are marked in such a way that makes them look bad out of context, but in context are not actually bad. But before we get to those receipts, I want to preface this. How do you take power away from a narcissist?
By ignoring them?
No. Well, I mean, that is one way, but in such an instance where, you have family court, mediation, custody battles, prenuptial agreements, you can't really fucking ignore them. They're going to do anything they can to have control over you. So what do you do?
What?
You attack them. You attack their greatest source of power. You attack their ability to control others. Now, Crowder is a media pundit. And so what you do to take away their power over you is you take away their credibility in the public eye.
I hate being in this position, guys. It gives me no pleasure to go down this road. I am being forced to go down this road by their actions to defend this company, to defend the over 30 employees that work for this company. I am not a guy that picks a fight. But if you tell me by your actions, by ignoring easy off-ramps, easy opportunities to do the right thing, that you are not going to stop coming after me and coming after this company and coming after the employees that work here and that put blood, sweat, and tears into this business, if you tell me my choice is to fight you or let them be taken out, I am absolutely going to step up and fight for them.
Okay. Here's what I say to that. You want to fight for the company. I can completely understand wanting to fight for the company, wanting, people and their families to be taken care of. I know that they've got 30 plus employees. I get it. It would be extremely damaging if Stephen lost it all. But here's the thing. Stephen can make this all stop. It's not about the money. It's about exposing his narcissism and his abuse. And the only thing that he has to do to make this stop is to give up control. That's all he has to do, is give up control. Take himself out of view of the public eye. He can still take a salary from the company. He can, still be involved in how the company operates to an extent, but he cannot be the chief owner, and he cannot be the person that runs the show. That's all he has to do. Don't allow him to remain in control. He has to give up control, and then things will stop. But as we see in cults of personality, the people that don't fight their cognitive dissonance, they're just going to continue to fight to keep this person there. That's how things worked in Hollywood for so long with what is it, Weinstein?
Yep.
There was a cult of personality behind him. There was cognitive dissonance among all of these people that knew the things he was doing were unethical.
Mhm.
And people would defend him. And it wasn't until people like major actors and actresses got involved that not only did it stop, but he was finally held accountable for the shit that he did. Obviously, a movement that eventually went too far, but in and of itself, all that had to happen was for the abuse to stop. But it didn't. Same thing here. All that has to happen is for the abuse to stop. For these people that are receiving the abuse to stop speaking out against it. That's all that has to happen. But it's not going to until someone pays. Because this cult of personality he's built, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Every time. We tried to do this the right way. It's frustrating for me.
No, you didn't.
But you need to know the truth. And that's what's coming out today. All of this information's publicly available. Court documents, not opinion. Not saying I have receipts and not providing them. I'm providing them for you right now. By the way, this is the court filing for Jared. We'll be releasing that so everybody can have access to it. Of course, taking steps to redact personal information because we would never want to dox anyone. Here is Hilary's father in a group text thread to the family. And it's a message that was liked by Hilary. The type of team I want.
Okay, so this is one of those ways in which they bring all of the information out, but they make you focus on one area. And this is why I wanted to do it on my screen so that I could actually read it. Let me read the entire thing. They understand right-wing media. They are familiar with who Stephen is and that world and the things that would destabilize him, or will commit to investing the necessary time, thoughtful consideration, and judgment to become sufficiently familiar with that world, in order that they become intellectually and emotionally invested in Hilary's circumstances. They are experts on narcissists and
Nice.
or will read and view selected articles to fully understand the narcissism and the impact on the spouse of a narcissist. They have a personal interest in me and my case and compassionate to my situation. They like my creative ideas and family involvement. They think outside the box. They are welcome to the ideas of using the media, Brian Friedman, PR, etc. They also provide their own strategies and ideas that are outside the box. Now, most of the people that watch Louder with Crowder are pretty much doing it on a phone. They can't read that. It's too small. That's why I did it on the screen. Now, let me bring attention to what they wanted to draw your attention to. Fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of this divorce are reasonable and attainable. Not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media/Brian Friedman and PR strategy that will significantly threaten this public persona and brand. Right there in that thread, they make very clear what the point of this is. It's Steven's narcissism. It's Steven's abuse. They want to damage him, or they want him to stop. His narcissism is the point of this. But the Crowder Company doesn't want you to see that part. That's why they bring out this one text for everyone to see, so that you don't focus on the other parts. He's going to read it. Let's have him read it out.
To the family. And it's a message that was liked by Hilary. The type of team I want. They understand right-wing media. They are familiar with who Steven is and that world and the things that would destabilize him. Remember that word, destabilize. Fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals are and expectations for the outcome.
Notice that? Who noticed that? What did he just do?
Gasps.
No, he went from the first line in this text thread to the line that they've bolded, that they've brought out, leaving out all of the other text in that.
Very suspicious.
Some of this divorce are reasonable and attainable. Not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media / Brian Friedman and PR strategy that will significantly threaten this public persona and brand.
Okay, so right there you see exactly what they just did. They started out reading the beginning of the text, but they didn't read the full text in context. They brought your attention to the last line in the thread. As to make it look like they were giving full context, but they weren't.
That's
That was
from
2022.
Yes. This has been the plan from the beginning, guys. This is what we have been dealing with behind the scenes and not commenting on. We'll get to Brian Friedman here in just a second, but this is where Jared gets involved. After 6 years.
Now, Brian Friedman is a scumbag lawyer. That's unimportant. Yeah, most lawyers are scumbags.
Yeah.
And this really isn't about politics. This is about taking away the power of a narcissist. And it's very obvious that Hilary's father understands this and knows what to go for. He's going for the jugular. If he can take away Steven's power over this cult of personality, then so much the better.
Years of no communication. Jared gets roped into Hilary's plan, gets involved in this plan. February 17th of 2023, and just leave that overlay up for me. Hilary and Jared met in Atlanta to discuss their strategy, and they took this picture. How he changed.
Yes, they took a picture.
So here's the thing. When one person leaves a narcissist or a cult, they don't really have friends. And so when someone else that was in the cult leaves, those are your friends.
Right.
For a long period of time after I left the Watchtower and Awake Society / the Watchtower organization, I didn't really have friends. And so other kids that I grew up with that eventually left, they were my only friends for a period of time. So up on the screen, they put out a text exchange. One of them says, "Hey, I have tickets for aquarium at 2 p.m. We'll pick y'all up at the airport. Figured we could take you to check in at your hotel if you wanted and grab food before getting to the fish." Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks. Perfect. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
really nothing huge in this, but what they've done is they've tried to bring your attention to a book idea called How He Changed My Mind, written by Hilary, supposedly about the cult of personality that Stephen has built and the experiences that she went through that eventually made her leave. Let me rewind so that we can hear what Gerald says.
Up for me. Hilary and Jared met in Atlanta to discuss their strategy, and they took this picture. How He Changed My Mind. I guess a proposed book that Hilary would like to write to apply more pressure to Stephen. February 20th, per Jared's text messages, any scenario where Hilary and I team up is the end of him, meaning Stephen. It is his worst nightmare. Watch.
Again, you have to go back to that first message sent by Hilary's father, in which he specifically references narcissism and his desire to knock down a narcissist.
Yeah.
This is the way you do it. You get people who had previously been under the control of the narcissist. This is not something that is generally considered wrong or bad.
The real fear enter his eye when Tim asks the question. All been going on behind the scenes. Can you believe the actions of people?
Okay, so these are private communications.
Mm-hmm.
These are all private communications. They are not public. They're text exchange.
Yes.
Which means it's generally not covered under a non-disclosure agreement or a non-compete. And mind you, non-disclosure agreements are specifically tailored to how the company operates. They are specifically tailored to make sure that you do not release operational information.
Yes.
So, if this is all about bringing down Crowder, then they're, well, at least bringing down the company. That must mean that there is shit going on at the company that is wrong, unethical, and abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, though, as you mentioned, as this whole stuff is about taking down Crowder as a narcissist. What tends to happen when such attempts are successful?
Generally,
like, how does a narcissist respond to being taken down? So to speak?
Generally, one of two things happens. Either the entire company goes down with the captain,
mm-hmm.
or the captain hangs up the hat. They hang up the hat. You know, they continue their little withdrawn cult, and they stay out of public view. If they've been confronted with their narcissism and they're not going to stop, as I had explained with narcissistic abuse disorder, if their power has been threatened sufficiently, they will do whatever they can to hold on to power in some way, shape, or form, but they will relinquish power to some things just so long as they get to keep some power somewhere. In in this situation, as I said before, they're just trying to get Steven to stop abusing people, which means one thing: get him to step down from the company. He can still draw a salary, just stop with the cult of personality. That's the only thing that's going to stop this.
Do you mean like just like resign his head but still be talent, as in still be on the show?
No,
or like you mean
not
like resign from the show?
resign from the show. Resign from being in public view. Because that's what's given him his power to begin with, is being in public view. You take that away, and he doesn't have that control anymore.
Right.
He can still be part of the company. He just can't lead it, and he can't host the show. Those are the only two things.
Right.
Oof, that would destroy his company.
Yeah, I mean, it is called
him.
Louder with Crowder.
I
It's
know.
Not louder with It's not Louder with Gerald.
Well, but here's the thing. What happened with Roseanne?
Mhm.
The show Roseanne.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, I mean, they killed her off, and then the show ended because without her, it didn't really.
The show went on, just
Didn't it
under a
end, like-
different name.
I mean, but didn't the Connors? I think that's his name now. I mean, didn't that end rather unceremoniously? Like people were. Like, when you
I
take
think it went-
Roseanne away from Roseanne, the show didn't continue on much longer.
I think it went 2 or 3 seasons.
Oh, really?
I'll have to look into it.
People that are out in public saying they're trying to do the right thing, and yet behind the scenes scheming to pressure Steven with a negative PR campaign. It's going to be worse in just a minute, guys. Unfortunately, this isn't a fun day, but it's a day that has to happen where people need to know what's really going on. February 21st, 2023, Jared says this to Hilary. I think there's
a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me.
Right.
So, obviously, we're referencing the narcissism, the abuse, and that would be a very bad thing for kids to be around, which I don't think is a bad thing to want to keep kids away from a narcissistic and abusive parent. We've already seen how narcissistic and abusive Steven can be.
Right. And if I can just reply, Stoner had asked a question and I wanted to answer. The reason we brought up Roseanne was because that was a similar situation. Well, obviously you know the show Roseanne, right? It was about her. It was just brought up as an example of taking the main character out of a show and the show continuing on because the main character was because of their real life
debacles.
let's say.
Yes.
So it was just an example of a similar thing having happened that we could reference for how this might go down.
Yeah.
a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me. Why do this?
Because he's a narcissist.
This was done specifically
kids to be abused.
in order to get more than Hilary would get in court.
That's alleged. And you will see they don't provide much in the way of proof of that claim.
Or that Steven even offered her, because his offers have been more generous than Hilary would ever get in court, per Hilary, from a text exchange between Hilary and her mother, Again, all public information, guys. This is a part of court filings, not us pulling anything, not us.
The financial offer was serious, and the business valuator and both of my attorneys agreed that the financial offer was good. $5 million. But when it came to the children, his offer was I get all of June, some of July, 2 weeks in August, and a week in the fall up north. And while that's better than what I would get in court, I want more freedom than that. So he's lording money over her head to get custody of his kids and restrict her custody to June, July, 2 weeks in August, and a week in the fall up north. Let's see if he reads that.
Us opining. The financial offer was serious, and the business valuator and both of my attorneys agreed the financial offer was good. And while that's better than I would get in court, I want more freedom to that than.
They didn't read it.
Nope.
He didn't read it. That's so fucking damning. He's taking this out of context.
Yep. I
Listen,
hate to say it, but Stephen, his only defense seems to be, I think my listeners are stupid and can't read.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do this show, is because I listened to this, but I had also listened to Tim. Don't kill me over this. I listened to Tim cover this.
What
And
was
Tim
Tim's take?
Oh boy.
Tim is remaining neutral for the time being, but he is saying that some of this is very damning.
Did
for
he
Stephen.
predict that this whole situation would lead to civil war?
No. He did not make that prediction.
Shocking.
But I listened to Tim before I listened to this video, and so I knew there were things that the Louder with Crowder cast was leaving out. That's why I wanted to bring this up.
That, referring to as well custody of the children. Remember that the financial offer was serious, and the business valuator and both of my attorneys agreed the financial offer was good. Offer was rejected.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of math here.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going to give her 60 days in the summer, 14 days in August, and 7 days up north in the fall. It's 81 days.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted her to have only 81 days a year with her kids.
Yeah, which for those who may not know, that's less than 3 months. That's like 2.5 months.
That's 2 months and 3 weeks.
Right.
That's 81 days, and he wanted to have 284 days. So he wanted her to have custody of her kids less than 1/4 of the year.
And I don't want to draw too much into this, but if he is such a workaholic as he claims he is, and even he was arguing in that video of him with his wife that he has no time for anything. So you're going to want to have custody of your kids when you'll have no time with them whatsoever. Kind of shitty thing to do.
Yep.
You're just gonna want that. What you're gonna have the Which employee are you gonna have babysit them for you, Stephen? Is it gonna be Gerald?
I wouldn't want Gerald anywhere near my kid or
No.
kids.
Is that Jared from Subway?
No,
No, not-
I wouldn't. I would especially not want him near kids.
But when it comes to anyone employed at Crowder's company, I wouldn't want any of them to watch my kids, but especially not one of the hosts.
Yeah.
Okay, we've only got a few minutes left in the podcast. Let's get through a couple more. I will make note of where we are when we stop, and we will pick this up in a week because this is
Alright.
pretty damning.
Why? Let's go back to the plan. To assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Stephen. And then, after doing that, they could make it all go away for Stephen. Per Hilary's father to Hilary and other family members in a group text. The longer the divorce proceedings go on, the worse the outcome.
Okay, and this is where I need to get the court filing because I can't read any of this.
Indeed. He's using he's using what's known as the Zoolander tactic.
What?
All right, this is somewhat right. What is this? A court filing for ants?
For SC, Stephen Crowder. Developing damaging OK PR assets should be pursued. That deliverable is up to us, not the legal team. I wonder why. And at the right time, Mark Scroggins, the first of three attorneys, will show SC the path to make it all go away.
Which I already said what the path to make it all go away is. Stop the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what they're saying there, guys? We're going to wage a
stop the
campaign
abuse.
against Stephen. Not
Yes, to stop the abuse.
to tell the truth about Stephen, but to misrepresent things that are going on.
You're the one misrepresenting everything that has been on screen, Gerald.
Yes.
You and your company and the religious leader of the company have been misrepresenting everything in this entire video.
Yes.
Why is it that we can see this and you can't? Oh, wait, you can. That's why you're doing it.
Gotta make a living some. Ever seen the Flintstones? It's a living.
I understand. I get it. You want to protect jobs.
Yeah.
So do I. Get him out of the company. Get him out of public view. You know, he can still be part of the company. Just get him out of the public eye and take his control over the company away. That's all that has to happen. That's not a big ask.
Yeah. It's a big ask from a narcissist, but it's not a big ask in general.
Correct.
Which Stephen is clearly.
Okay, so we are 3 minutes out, and it is time to end this. I will make a note, and I will pin it in the stream chat of the time in this video that we're stopping. It's 12 minutes and 39 seconds. And I'll actually cut clips this week of this video so that we don't have to watch it all the way through to the end next week. We can just pick up the important parts. But with all of that said, excuse me. With all of that said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here even though Stoner and Molly didn't get introduced at the beginning of the video, these two are going to get the first to say good night. Let's go ahead and start with our resident Serbian from the former Soviet state of Serbia. Please say good night, Molly.
Bye bye, mommy.
And then we will go ahead and we will get our resident southern redneck to say goodnight to everyone. Please say goodnight, Stoner.
Good night, Joe.
And then, of course, we have our lovely host from the Great White North, our dirty Frenchy Frenchman from the Soviet state of Kanakistan. Please say goodnight, Dale.
Good night, everyone. Luckily, I made it. As right when you were taking off our goodbyes, my computer suddenly crashed. Thankfully, fast enough that I managed to make it just back in time for my
Awesome.
big exit. Look forward to it, ladies and gentlemen, because next week is the end of our first two-parter.
Yeah,
First
I don't.
time
We've never had a two-parter, but this is going to be multi-part. I don't even
Excellent.
think we can finish in two parts. I think this is going to be ongoing.
Excellent. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. And with that, I bid you adieu, au revoir, goodbye.
And with that, we are going to sign out with our music, and we will see everyone next weekend. I hope everyone has a good night, a good weekend, and a good week. Until next time, we will see you soon.